She laughed at a homeless black man for begging outside her office. But when she saw his face on a massive billboard weeks later, the truth shattered her. The story opens. Under the burning brightness of a Friday morning in downtown Atlanta, a city built on ambition and image, towering glass buildings glisten like mirrors, catching sunlight that seems to worship only those who shine. The streets are alive with motion, heels clicking, horns honking, and the rhythmic pulse of dreams being chased. Everyone here walks fast, speaks louder, and looks sharper, as if standing still might mean falling behind. Among them walks Lila Carter, a 27-year-old marketing executive whose life revolves around success stories, social media feeds, and designer schedules.
She moves like she's late for greatness, every step calculated, every glance measured.
Her reflection follows her wherever she goes, bouncing off shop windows and car doors, reminding her that she's become the very image she sells for a living. But behind the flawless makeup and confidence lies a quiet emptiness, a hunger she can't name. To Lila, weakness is sin. Compassion is currency for those too poor to compete. She's built a world where empathy is inefficiency. When she looks at people, she doesn't see souls. She sees stories of failure or potential. She doesn't notice the janitor holding the door, the mother carrying groceries, or the old man sweeping the sidewalk. In her world, if you don't glow, you don't exist. Then near the entrance of her sleek office tower, she spots a man who doesn't belong in this picture. A black homeless man, seated quietly on the pavement with a worn-out sketch pad in his lap. His beard is peppered gray, his jacket frayed at the seams, but his posture carries a strange dignity. He isn't begging loudly like others she's passed. Instead, he draws. Each pencil stroke moves with patience, his gaze lifting occasionally to capture faces in the crowd before returning to paper. He's invisible to most, but not to Lila. She feels a mix of irritation and discomfort at the sight. He's sitting too close to the glass doors, too close to her world of polished perfection. When he looks up and gently asks, "Miss, do you have some spare change?" Her lips curl into a half-smile, the kind people wear when they want to feel powerful. "You're sitting here drawing people while the world moves on," she scoffs, glancing at her watch. "Maybe if you worked instead of doodling, you wouldn't be begging." A few co-workers walking behind her chuckle. One of them mutters, "She said it right," feeding her ego. Lila flashes a confident smile, proud of her quick tongue. But the old man doesn't react. He just studies her face for a long moment, calm, steady, unbothered. Then he speaks in a tone so soft it cuts through the noise. "Work isn't always with your hands." The words hang in the air, oddly heavy. They sound less like a defense and more like truth. Lila blinks, unsure why his calmness unsettles her. She turns sharply and walks inside, pretending the encounter means nothing. But something inside her chest feels tight, like a mirror cracking just slightly. As the elevator doors close, she catches a glimpse of her reflection again. Her perfect smile suddenly feels artificial. For the first time, the glittering city outside doesn't look inspiring. It looks hollow. Her co-workers keep laughing about the scene, praising her for putting him in his place. She laughs along, but her laughter sounds offbeat, detached. She can't shake the image of his eyes, those calm, steady eyes that didn't flinch or argue. There had been something unshakable there, something she didn't understand. She tells herself to forget it. After all, he's just another man on the street. But as the day goes on, every window she passes seems to reflect not her success, but the look he gave her. Emotional tone. The city shines bright but feels cold. Beneath her power, Lila begins to sense the emptiness of her own world. Moral undertone. Arrogance is not strength, it's blindness. True dignity doesn't shout. It simply stands unshaken in the face of cruelty. That night, Atlanta glows like a diamond under the city lights. Cars streak by and laughter spills out of rooftop bars. Inside one of the city's most exclusive restaurants, Lila Carter sits at a corner table with her friends, a glass of champagne in hand, and her laughter rehearsed to perfection. The conversation flows effortlessly. Promotions, travel plans, and the latest influencer scandals. Every sentence feels like a performance, every laugh an audition. Outside the glass wall, however, a different rhythm plays. A street musician, an older black man with weary eyes, sits under a flickering street lamp strumming slow, mournful blues on a cracked guitar. The melody is raw, soft but heavy, like it carries the weight of 1,000 untold stories. Inside, no one listens. People sip wine and talk over the sound as if it's just background noise. But for some reason tonight, Lila can't tune it out. Each note feels like a whisper meant for her, a sound that slips through the cracks of her laughter and settles somewhere deep in her chest. She doesn't understand why, but she feels uncomfortable, irritated, not at the man or the sound, but at what the music stirs. It's like guilt disguised as melody, haunting her between sips of champagne. She forces herself to rejoin the conversation, but her friends' voices sound distant, hollow. When she looks out the window again, the musician looks back at her for a split second, his eyes tired yet peaceful. Lila looks away first. The next morning, she takes her usual route to the office. The world is back in motion. Cars honking, people rushing, phones buzzing. And there he is again, the same homeless artist from before sitting near her building. Only this time, he isn't looking at her. He's sketching a young mother holding her child, both smiling softly as they wait for the bus. Lila slows down, curious despite herself. The drawing is astonishing, not just skillful but soulful. The mother's smile seems alive, her eyes glimmering with warmth and struggle at once. Lila can't help but ask, "You actually did this?" The man looks up, his hand steady, and nods. "Every person's story is written on their face," he says in that same calm, poetic tone. "I just traced the truth." For a moment, Lila doesn't know how to respond. The truth? What truth could a man sitting on the sidewalk possibly see that she couldn't? So she laughs, a nervous, superior kind of laugh, and pulls a dollar bill from her purse. She tosses it into his empty coffee cup and says, "Then I guess my story's written in gold." He studies her carefully, his expression unreadable. Then he replies, voice quiet but certain, "No, your story's still being erased." The words hit her harder than she expects. It's not what he says, it's how he says it. No malice, no anger, just a kind of sorrowful honesty. She stands there frozen, unsure if she should be insulted or something else. Finally, she turns and walks away, the click of her heels sharper than usual. But no matter how far she walks, the words cling to her. Your story's still being erased. That night, she scrolls through her social media feed. Smiling photos, perfect captions, filtered memories, all shining but strangely empty. For the first time, she sees them differently. Her smile doesn't look joyful. It looks practiced. The sparkle in her eyes feels staged. Every picture seems to whisper the same question. Who are you really? She closes her phone and catches her reflection in the mirror across the room. Her own face feels foreign. The city outside still shines, but the glow no longer comforts her. Instead, it exposes the hollowness she's been avoiding, the truth that maybe her whole life has been a performance. And somewhere along the way, she erased the person she was meant to be. Emotional tone. The confidence begins to fracture. The music and the man's words awaken guilt and self-awareness, forcing her to confront her own emptiness. Moral undertone. Real art and real truth don't exist to please. They exist to reveal what we hide. Rain poured softly over the quiet streets, washing the city's glitter into gray streaks. Lila walked home, her heels splashing through puddles, her mind heavier than the clouds above. Her reputation at work had begun to unravel. The flawless woman who once commanded every boardroom now avoided eye contact in elevators. The campaign failure had been a blow, but worse was the guilt she felt for stealing someone else's idea. A reminder that she'd built her image on pretense. As she passed the familiar corner, she saw the old black man again, the same one she'd mocked, now struggling under the weight of a soaked blanket and damp papers. Two teenage boys jeered at him, kicking his cup and laughing as coins scattered across the sidewalk. Without thinking, Lila ran toward them, her voice trembling yet fierce. "Hey, stop it!" The boys hesitated for a moment before sprinting off into the night, leaving behind only the echoes of their cruelty. Lila dropped to her knees beside him, helping gather the drenched sketches. Each page told a story, faces full of emotion and truth. People smiling through pain, lovers parting, dreamers staring at skies too far to reach. The man's hand shook slightly as he lifted one drawing after another, each smudged but still beautiful. Then Lila froze. In her hands lay a portrait of herself, unfinished, but unmistakable. Her features were precise, yet the eyes were hollow, the smile strained. It wasn't vanity or mockery. It was truth, raw and piercing. Why did you draw me?" she whispered. The old man looked up, rain running down his beard. Because people who are lost draw the most light, he said softly. But not all of them find it. Something inside her cracked, the same place her pride had been built on. She wanted to defend herself, to say she wasn't lost, but her voice wouldn't come. All the noise of her life, the promotions, the dinners, the likes, the mirrors, suddenly felt meaningless. That night she lay awake staring at the ceiling. The city lights bled through her window, sharp and artificial. She realized she'd mistaken brightness for meaning, success for worth. The man she'd pitied was creating beauty from nothing, while she, with everything, had created only emptiness. For the first time, Lila didn't want to scroll, post, or prove. She just wanted to feel real again, to find the light she'd been running from all along. Word count, 520. Emotional tone, guilt transforming into self-realization and humility. Moral undertone, we often find our truest reflection in the people we ignore, and the light we seek in those we once looked down upon. A month passed, and the rhythm of Lila's life resumed, or at least she tried to pretend it had. Her failure at work had been quietly buried, replaced by an opportunity to redeem herself. Her company had just secured a major advertising contract for an upcoming citywide campaign, The Faces of Humanity. It was meant to celebrate authenticity, compassion, and the human spirit. The irony was lost on no one more than Lila. She, of all people, was chosen to lead the project. Her boss's words echoed in her ears. Find real artists, people who capture truth. For days she scrolled through polished portfolios, studied curated bios, and met with pretentious painters in pristine studios. But nothing felt right. None of it looked real. For a fleeting second she remembered the old man, his trembling hands, his rain-soaked sketches, his haunting words. People who are lost draw the most light. But she quickly pushed the thought aside. He's probably long gone, she muttered to herself. After all, what place did a homeless man have in a campaign about success and hope? Weeks later, the campaign launched. Lila sat in her car, exhaustion and pride mixing in her veins as she drove through downtown Atlanta, admiring the finished billboards. Models smiling, artists posing, messages about unity glowing under city lights. It was perfect, at least on the surface. Then, as she stopped at a red light on Peachtree Street, her breath caught in her throat. Towering above her against the night sky was a massive billboard unlike the others. A black man's weathered face stared out. Calm, soulful, unforgettable. Beside him was one of his sketches, a young girl laughing, her joy almost alive. Beneath it read the words, Elijah Brooks, the artist of humanity. Lila's vision blurred. It was him, the man from the sidewalk, the one she'd mocked, the one who had quietly drawn the truth from every soul that passed him by. The radio announcer's voice filled her car, steady and reverent. Elijah Brooks, once one of Atlanta's most celebrated painters, disappeared years ago after losing his wife and daughter in a house fire. Instead of returning to fame, he spent his years on the streets, sketching strangers and capturing the beauty of the overlooked. His rediscovered works will be displayed at the Museum of Modern Art this month. Tears slid down Lila's cheeks. The man she pitied had been a master of truth all along. He hadn't fallen. He had chosen a different kind of freedom. He had seen her not as a villain, but as a reflection of what she had lost, humanity. As the light turned green, Lila couldn't move. Her world, built on image, status, and pride, had just shattered beneath a single billboard. Lila couldn't shake the image of Elijah's face from her mind. That quiet strength, those eyes that had seen more than any billboard could capture. For days she drove through the streets of Atlanta, passing alleys, underpasses, and parks searching for him. The same sidewalks that once made her feel powerful now felt humbling. Every corner a reminder of how blind she had been. Her heels clicked across cracked concrete as she revisited his usual spot near her office, the place she'd first mocked him. The city hummed as always, horns, laughter, ambition, but to her it all felt hollow now. Then, just as she was about to give up, she saw him, sitting cross-legged beneath an old oak sketching a little boy chasing pigeons. His clothes were the same, but there was something radiant about him, as though the world itself had decided to honor him quietly. Her throat tightened. She walked closer, her voice trembling. Elijah! He looked up and smiled as if expecting her. "You found me." Tears welled in her eyes. "I saw the billboard," she managed. "I didn't know who you were. I was wrong about you, about everything." Elijah didn't scold her. He didn't gloat or turn away. Instead, his expression softened. "You didn't see me because you weren't ready to. People only see what their hearts allow." Lila sank to her knees, the weight of her pride finally lifting. She reached into her bag and pulled out a brand new sketchbook. Elegant, leather-bound, untouched. "I brought this for you," she said, her voice cracking. "You deserve more than scraps of paper." Elijah glanced at the book, then back at her. His smile was gentle but firm. "Keep it. You've got your own story to draw now." They sat together for hours, talking as the city dimmed into twilight. Elijah told her about the fire, about losing his family, and how art had become his only way to stay alive without bitterness. "When you lose everything," he said softly, "you learn what freedom really is. You stop living for approval and start living for truth." Lila listened, absorbing every word. His pain, his peace. It all reshaped her idea of success. For the first time, she wasn't thinking about work, image, or reputation. She was simply present. As she stood to leave, she looked at Elijah one last time. "Thank you," she whispered. He nodded. "Don't thank me. Just draw something real." That night, Lila walked home under the same glittering skyline that once made her feel superior. Now it simply looked beautiful. Not because she owned it, but because she finally belonged to it. She didn't feel powerful or polished. She just felt human. Word count, 515. Emotional tone. Redemption through humility, peace after reckoning. Moral undertone. Apology doesn't erase the past. It illuminates it, allowing both hearts to heal through honesty. Months drifted by like the slow turning of seasons, and with each passing week, Lila felt the old version of herself fading into the background, like a billboard being taken down after years of false advertising. The shiny heels, the designer bags, the endless rush to be seen, all of it began to feel meaningless compared to the quiet clarity she'd discovered through Elijah's words. She resigned from her job on a calm Monday morning, leaving behind the glass towers and fluorescent lights that had once defined her identity. Instead of chasing campaigns, she started creating purpose. Using her marketing expertise, she launched a small foundation called the Humanity Project. Its mission was simple yet profound: to uplift street artists, musicians, poets, and dreamers who used their craft to tell real stories, the kind of stories Elijah had lived and breathed. At first, people doubted her. Some of her old colleagues mocked her choice, calling it a fall from grace. But Lila didn't care. She had learned what grace truly was, not in luxury but in humility. Slowly, her vision gained support. Street corners became open galleries, underpasses turned into storytelling walls, and voices once drowned by traffic began to echo with power. Months later, the foundation held its first major exhibit. The venue wasn't grand, a renovated warehouse filled with music, murals, and light, but it pulsed with life. People wandered through, amazed by the depth and beauty of the works. Lila walked quietly through the crowd, her heart full but calm. She had dedicated the event to Elijah Brooks, the artist of humanity. At the center of the hall stood a large painting draped in white fabric. As the time came, Lila stepped forward to unveil it. When the cloth fell away, gasps filled the room. The painting was titled "A Woman in Gold Light." It was her. Lila, the same woman who once mocked a man for sketching on the street, captured in hues of gold and amber. Her expression wasn't proud or glamorous. It was honest, vulnerable, real. Beneath the frame, a small bronze plaque read, "For those who mocked what they didn't understand and found beauty in humility." Tears welled in her eyes. The world seemed to slow, the air thick with emotion. Elijah had painted her not as she was, but as she had become. Every stroke told a story of redemption, forgiveness, and awakening. She stood before the portrait, her reflection merging softly with the golden tones. For the first time, she didn't see the perfect image she'd once curated. She saw herself. The woman who had fallen, learned, and risen again. As the crowd clapped quietly, Lila smiled through tears and whispered to herself, "You were right, Elijah. Work isn't always with your hands." Outside, the city lights shimmered. not as symbols of vanity anymore, but as reminders of all the souls still searching for their own light. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more powerful and inspiring stories. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.